Hi everyone, this is Rakesh and welcome to this new session. In this video, we are going to understand what a container is, what is a Docker, what is a Podman, how it actually runs. So this session is going to be a little lengthy and I hope you all like it.
Okay, so let's get started. Before we know what a container is, we should know about operating systems. Okay, so we all, as a developer, interact with the laptop or computers or servers. Okay, so what exactly are we interacting with? We are interacting with not with the hardware but with the operating system. Okay, so here is the operating system. So what is an operating system? It is a system software which runs an application software. Okay, thing that is the very basic definition of an operating system. Yeah. So I'm interacting when I'm sitting on the computer. I'm actually interacting with the operating system, and right now when I'm using the computer, I'm running Google Chrome. Okay, so what is a Google Chrome? It is an application, right? So who has the control of running it? The operating system, of course. So let me draw a line out here and we will see how we will partition these two important things. So I have an operating system, and what I'm using on the computer is the uh, application software. Okay, so let me give some examples. What are the various operating systems that we interact in our real world? So for very few names, I can give you some examples. Okay, this is little, yeah. So we have Windows and we have Linux and we have Unix over here. Okay. And what are the various applications that we run? If we right now I just said that I'm working on a Google Chrome. Okay, so it is an application, right? What is that thing called? Like, I don't use that thing, but we do use it for yes, MS Word, MS Office. Yeah, I think they have this, and then we have some video players and players. Okay, and what else we have? We have even something like we develop the application in Node.js. So Node.js application are there, and then we run a Java application. So all these applications are run using some program that we install it on the host system. Now I use the word host now. Okay, so this is the first time I have used the word host. So this host is nothing but your computer which you are sitting on. Okay, so how do we install this application? We download it. Yeah, so what are the ways to install it? We download the setup. Okay, like exe.exe, and then we have rpms, and in Linux we use what I think apt-get install. We use this command, right? And then we have dnf install here in CentOS, and then zippers, and so on and so forth. So what is this application, how we install it, and how it runs? It all depends on what kind of the setup you have. So this exe.rpm, all these package manager application installers, okay, so these are called the installers. Yeah, and who is responsible for installing it? It is of the operating system. Okay, so OS is responsible for installing it, and after that we run the application, and yeah, we are good to go. So here, till here it is simple. Yeah, we have the operating system, and we run it. Okay, okay, let me just put it like this. Yeah, so we have the source, and here is the from this controller, or this is the admin. Okay, so now very very interesting thing I want to know here is there any application in this particular area which has the capability to run the other applications? So what exactly I mean is, let me just draw one more up here. Other applications. So this is the same one. Application software. Yeah. So I'm making a lot of mistake over here, and no problem. So what I mean is this. Okay, this is the, yeah. So what I mean is is there any application who has the capability to run another applications? Okay, because if it is like that, it means that that application is trying to behave like an operating system, to be in a very uh, basic term, if I would say. Okay, so here is this thing, and why is this thing sticking to that? It's very annoying. Yeah, so there is an application uh, software, a very special one, and I call this special because it has the, let me just type here, it has the ability to run another application. Wouldn't that be a little special, because it is trying to act like an operating system who has the control of the resources, hardware resources, everything. So it means that this thing, this kind of application, can be called as a sub operating system. Yeah, who is trying to run another application software. Is very special. In fact, this is what the most craziest thing what we are trying to develop here. Okay, so now we have given a name to it. We are calling it as a sub operating system. Okay, now this is where things are going to make us little understand very much clearly. So I will just elaborate here a little more. So what are these application softwares? Let me give some examples so that it is these are like Node.js, Java, and database. Okay, these are the main one, I would say, etc. Okay, so here till here we have reached. Okay, this is still in a very uh, initial explanation, I would say. Now let me just give you some visual representation so that it is little more clear. So let me find some operating system. Okay, I will find Linux. Let me find Linux. Okay, okay, this is not a Linux. This is the server. Okay, so this is the server. I'll remove this. Okay, so first way of running the application would be directly running the installing the software. So I will just take a very simple example like Node.js. Okay, see Node.js. Okay, so this is the first way, directly install it on your machine, or we have another box, I would say. So the box is we'll draw the box over here, and I'll connect it over here like this. Okay, these arrows are little, yeah. Okay. So this box this is just an example for Node.js. Okay, this can be a database, Java, anything, any application. So this box is what we are calling it as sub operating system. Okay, yeah, so this is the very special term. Now we have not reached till the container word. Okay, so before we do go into that, now let us know what are the types of sub OS that we can have. Yeah. So I will again just partition this. So we know now what is the our sub operating system. So we will just find what are the various types. So first is we are, as far as I know, this is sticking here. It's so annoying. So I'll just make it yellow first. So there are two types of sub operating system that we should know, and you must have heard of it. First is called the hypervisor. Hypervisor. Oh, sorry. Hypervisor. It's also called as a virtual machine. It's a virtual machine software. Okay. Yeah. So what are the examples of this? And you must have seen it on Google if you search and find the softwares for that. These are the examples. So examples are like VMware, as far as I know, and even AWS or Amazon or Google Cloud, they do provide the virtual machines for us. So, what are the uh, characteristics of or the various functionalities of virtual machine. So how does it exactly work? Okay, now a VM, if we install the software, okay, we do need a dedicated resource of the system. So what is the meaning of that? Dedicated resource of the system, it means that when we install it, we have to specify the amount of RAM, how much this program is going to use. It means that that much dedicated RAM, CPU or hard disk space will be needed during the setup itself. Okay, so that is we have to provide it. So it means that this is going to be a very costly affair. Okay, because that much of resources is only be used by that particular application. Okay, and it will have its it will have its own separate kernel. It will have its own separate kernel, means that now you must have seen, if you install VMware, then we can install Ubuntu or Linux on Windows. So this is possible just because of this. Okay, so that whatever the executable program is, it has the capability to install the even the operating system. So that is why we are calling it as a sub operating system. Okay. So the next thing is, we are the second one is container runtime engine. Now this is the second type of sub operating system or the application which will be like operating system. Okay, so how this will work? Now container runtime engine, this is the one more major difference between the VM and Sierra engine is that this application will try to use the shared resource of the system. It means that if there are 8 or 10 CPUs, and if we run this application 10 different processes, it will be shared among all the processes. So all the 10 CPUs will be shared among these processes, not like the VM where we, if I specify 5 CPUs dedicated for one uh, application, it will be fixed for that. Now this is a good advantage over here. Okay, we can save the resources, and we can use the same system libraries also of this host system, and we can run any OS. We can run any OS. But here, imagine that on Windows, on Windows, we have WSL. Oh, sorry, WSL. You must have heard that, Windows Subsystem Linux. So this is, of course, now I'm already giving an example of this container runtime. So in Windows, when we are working on this Ubuntu WSL, this is nothing but a container runtime engine. Okay. Another characteristic is it uses the same host kernel or system libraries. Okay, so it is trying to use all the host system libraries. So even if you are, you know, A very basic example would be when we write a C program and we say printf. So printf function is already a C library of the host, but if we install it on the virtual machine, a separate C library will be installed for that. But here in this case, if this library is already present, it will not be installed. So we are sharing the libraries also. Okay, so what are the examples of that? Now I will see what are the examples. So as I told, WSL web Windows subsystem Linux, and we have Docker, and then we have a Podman. So I'm just giving you the major important examples of this. And another thing here is, just like we install on the system with the exe file, here we need a setup for that. Definitely we need a setup. So that setup is not an exe file, but it is called an image. Okay, so that is called an image. So image file is required for the setup or installation. So if you install Ubuntu, or if you want to install any operating system, we will need an image of that, and that image will be run off by this container runtime engine, whether it is Docker or WSL or Podman. Okay? And then this image is, after you install it, we can run it into a application. Okay, and then that particular runnable application separate process will be called a container instance. Okay, so here this particular, for example, Node.js is, when I run this Node.js on this will be called as a container instance. So I will give it over here a name. So this is called container instance. Okay. And let's say if I have MySQL or MySQL database, so I'm just giving an example. So these both are called, both are will be the container instance of that. So this is now called, we are telling it to be container runtime engine. Yeah, and examples are WSL, Docker, or Podman, which I am going to use. Okay. So this is specifically I'm talking here about this one because we are dealing here with this particular part portion material. We don't want to use. So what is the basic intention of such kind of application? Now, why are we developing it on this sub operating system? So why we are needing the sub operating system? Why are we needing such sub operating system? So the main intention is to provide and run applications in isolation. Okay. So what is the meaning of that? So isolation means it should be, in a very protected environment where one application should not know about the other applications which are running. Now this is the same thing which happens with your applications on your computer. Okay, so it means that we are trying to do a business of software as a service. Okay, cloud business. Okay, so for example, cPanel, if you have been heard about this, what are these things, what are these software actually trying to do? It means they are trying to provide distributed applications on the internet, and to provide that we have to create a dedicated environment, a dedicated environment for every client. Okay, a dedicated environment for every client, which can only be done by sub operating system. But mind this thing, when you buy a virtual machine, okay, one thing if you notice that we have, or if you buy it on the by the cloud provider, it will be a little more costly than the cPanel or the shared hosting that you directly buy from the cloud provider. So that is the main reason. So VM is a little costlier than containers that are already running on the cloud servers. So this is the this is what exactly the main aspect of containers really is. Okay. Okay, so I will give one more real world example or analogy to this. Okay, so let's say I have a CD player. I want this CD player. Can I get it? Okay, yeah. So this is a CD player I have here, and this is the CD. Okay. So now imagine this CD player. I draw one more, and what I mean here is this CD over here is we'll call it as an image. Okay. And this thing is called the container runtime engine. Okay, or we will specifically mention it as Docker or Podman, WSL, or Kubernetes. Now I forgot that example also. So this is, you can uh, think of it like this. So when you put the image in the CD player, okay, and what you hear from this earphones, okay, this is just an analogy for you. This is just not related with computers, but a real world analogy would, in a very simplified manner, would be like this. So instance of song or uh, container instance. So a song instance, when you're putting this CD player, so whatever that may be, this is called as container instance. So what are the output we are getting from here is the instance of that whatever the CD is being run inside this CD player. Now what we should know is how to control the So this is what exactly we are trying to know. Our goal is to know how to use this layer or Docker or Podman. So there are some controls. Okay, controls is like play, pause, record, give the input, whatever it is. So we should know how to operate this particular uh, device here in the sense the Docker or Podman. Yeah, so now we know what is a Docker and or the, so I will just give you a difference between what are the two, then we will end this thing. So there are two things here, Docker and the one is Podman. I'll just talk a little bit of the Docker. So Docker is of course the CLI, and here how it works is it has a background process, okay, or a system service which is continuously running behind the operating system. So it is a kind of a one process basis basically. So it's only one CD player, okay, and the other one is your Podman. And okay, so Podman is, it has a separate process. Whenever you log in the user and try to run it, it will be run in a separate process or service, separate process. Okay, every user, any user if it is. So it means that this is a little safer. Okay, and this one is little dangerous. Why? Because just imagine that if this process is halted, it means all the dependent instances will be stopped. Here it cannot be happen. If any instance is stopped, it will not hamper the other running instances. So now, okay, Podman is actually an initiative by Red Hat. Okay, so it's a Red Hat initiative. And now one more last thing is, I have told you about the images. So where can we get, where do we get all these images? Because now, like any other application, we should have a setup for that. So there are places where we get it, and the very old one where it all started was the Docker Hub. It is basically called a repository. Okay, so repository. Okay, so what are the repositories that available? Uh, okay, we are ending this. We have, what are the repositories? Docker Hub. Okay, and we have Red Hat also, as far as I know. Okay, and yeah, I think these are two main places where you can get it. And another one is that we can create our own, we can create our own repository and publish Just like how we have GitHub repository where we uh, keep our source code safe, and whenever we want to use it in other devices or want to run it, we can download it. So the same way we have image repository. So this is how we can understand the basics of the containers and how it actually works. Okay, so this is a very much layman language I have tried to give the information. So I hope this theme was a little useful for you, and now a little more complication, a little bit complex things will start, and that is how we will install and use Postgres, because my last videos was about MySQL database. So the next one we will create a Postgres and a Angular application, and we'll start learning both the things, how to use a Podman with the pod and Postgres database. We will create a full stack application using the containers and Podman. So let's do that thing in the next video.